Hello friends, I am Catherine and today I want to sculpt for you a pendant. My idea is that I want to make a mermaid holding on to a bubble, so I'm going to use a glass marble for that. So like wrapped around the marble. So I've got some like flesh toned clay, I've got some marbled green and blue clay that I'm going to use for the tail. And then I've got a spiral of red pre-rolled out over here for the hair and a little bit of black for the eyes. Let's get rolling. First thing that we want to do is divide this flesh toned clay into parts. That's about half, and this is actually probably going to be too much, so I'm going to take off some of that and roll it out again and see what I end up with. Okay, that's actually still too much. All right, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to form the body, her torso. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Her torso. And the torso is going to be kind of a teardrop shape. Like it's going to be flat front to back and then a wedge top to bottom. So we've got like shoulders up at the top and then it comes down to a narrow point at the waist where her fish parts will begin. So we're going to kind of point that down because we can make a pocket in the fishtail and hook it over it. So we've got a wedge that is sort of flat front to back there. And then we are going to want to make a fishtail. So let's cut off part of that. Let's call it like that much. And roll that out also into a sort of wedge. Let's see. Sort of flat front to back, sort of a wedge but more rounded at the top. And then drawing down to a point for the end of the tail. And then decide which side we like better. And I think I like this side better, so I'm going to make that one face the outside. And flatten everything sort of back down again. And that will be our tail. So then what we need is something to put a socket into it, like the back of a paintbrush. That should work all right. Just going to open a hole and slide our torso in. Not too bad so far, kind of just squeeze it down around it. There we go. And then let's grab a little bit of this and cut off just a sliver and roll it into a snake and then press it flat. And use that, hopefully, sort of, around the connection between the body and the tail. Sort of like that. So wrap it around like that and then take a toothpick or whatever you have and nudge it up and into the crease. Sort of, ooh, I like that pattern. Let's do that all the way around. Sort of like that, so that it ends up with this sort of frilly look, hopefully. There we go. And then just take off this excess over here and set it back aside. So that gives us a little bit more of like a skirt type situation going on. And let's just widen that back over. Okay. And let's just curve her around that marble and then bring her tail back and maybe sort of around to the front. That's not curving enough. Let's see if we can't bring it down to a point a little bit more. Bring it down and around and down and around and, ooh, actually let's curve around the back so that her tail will come out, will cradle the bubble and then come out toward the front. I like that. That works. Okay, now we need a head and arms. So let's roll out a head first. Is that about the size we want her head to be? Sure, that works. We're just going to bring it down a little bit so that it's sort of a teardrop shape. And then what we're going to do is build out her face. So cut off a lump right there and take off that green that was left over on our little knifey thing and place that on for a chin. And then take that and separate it into and give her cheekbones. So those are going to be more out to the side. Go kind of like that. And then, oh, got some green on there again. That's all right, just edit it off. And then roll a little tiny snake for a brow ridge, which is going to be way up here. There we go. And then we just smooth everything down. Go. Smooth it all around. Go. Sort of like that, and then smooth down her cheekbones right up to the edge of that brow. And bring that brow down. So that it meets. Just smooth everything in. And we're not too worried about the top of the head right now, although I probably should be. I should probably put A little bit more on the top of her head. Give her a bit more cranium. But we're not too worried about that because we're going to cover it with hair, so that's going to be voluminous from hair anyway. Right. And then just kind of divide that brow ridge down the middle just a little bit. Okay, and bring it up and in, a little right there. And in and up, a little right there. Okay. And now she's going to need a nose. Ooh, that's way too much clay. Tiny little triangle of a nose, a teardrop nose, if you will. That might even still be too much, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. And I can just lie it down right there, set it on her face. And smooth it in. Should be right like that. All right. There we have a sort of face that we can set onto her body. Right like that. So we're going to need a little socket right there. We'll just open that up toward the back and the sides a little bit. And then bring that pinch down part that we did when we first started this backward a little bit and set it in that socket. Perfect. There we go. Then set that aside for a moment and do some arms. Let's see, so I'm going to want some evenly sized and shaped arms. That's not going to be enough. Well, not quite enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a roll, I'm going to fold it in half, and that will be my arms. So trying to make it even, and then taking and folding it in half, and cutting it there, and there will be my arms. Okay. Fairly straightforward. Take and put a socket in each of the sides for the arms, and round them down just a little bit, and stick them in. And bring them forward. Round down just a little bit. Stick it in and bring it forward. Hopefully it'll stick. If it doesn't, I can always encourage it to. Go. And then just your hands up to her chin. Right like that. Perfect. Okay. Now for hair. We're going to have to decide how long we want it. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's take some of this red and take it about that long. And then just cut a bunch of ones about that long. There we go. About like that. Go. That one kind of just pulled apart. That's okay. That one's kind of shorter. That can be part of the bangs maybe. All right, and then we'll set that aside for a moment and we'll see how we end up with for hair on these. Let's just bring them each end down to a point and then put it on her head. Let's curve it in this direction, actually. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then just do another one, bring it in close to the first one, curl it around, and place it down. That one ends up a little long, so let's just take a bit off of it and there we go. And then bring it in the same pattern as the first ones, but down, and curl it in the opposite direction underneath those first two. There we go. Just keep on doing this all the way around, hopefully. We hope everything works out. And we don't drop anything. And curl it back in the same direction as the first ones. Right at the end here, hopefully. There we go. Sort of like that. Okay, fine. You can be lumped in whatever direction you want. It's cool. Go. And then maybe this one can be a little bit too long. We'll sort it down, lengthen it out now a little bit so that it's thinner. And next piece of hair. So just line it all back up again. And curl it in the opposite direction. There we go. Most of the way around. So we can start thinning these down a little bit further. Let's take off a little bit of that one too. Doesn't need to be quite that long. There we go, and then right like that, and then across the whole thing, and curling up there, sort of like that. Then another one. But this one, we're just going to take right there and then tuck it in that spot and then bring it around across the back of the head and drape it down over here and curl it up. Go. Then another one. This one made even thinner. Maybe take off some of that length because that's going to be too long. And then do something very similar. Bring it across the back and over across that first one that went across the back, and then curl it, hopefully, upward, right like that. Go. Okay. Then this one is a shorter one, which is perfect because we are going to take and lay it right here, but it is going to come up and just curl forward. There we go. And then a littler one. Well, I say a littler one, it's not going to end up being little once we've rolled it out. There we go. And it can go right there and over that last curl a little bit, and then curl forward so that it rests right there on her shoulder. There we go, and she's got a pretty good head of hair. Now we're going to want to do some bangs for her. So we're going to want really little thin ones for that. And there we go. We're just going to give her like a side bang or something, I think. Okay. And then take all of those and just cut them in half. There we go. All right, now start with the longest one. Come on, you. There we go. And actually, before we put on her bangs, let's give her some eyeballs. That way, if they end up being covered up, that's okay, but we know that they're there. Poke a little hole. Drop our little eyeball in. Press it in. Awesome. And then another one. And poke a little hole. And drop our little eyeball in. Awesome. There we go. Eyeballs. Perfect. Okay. Now side bangs. Okay. Which direction do we want them to curl? I think we want them to go in this direction. So let's start way back at the back and just bring them across and over here. And start there and bring it across and down to there. Across and down there. And then across, down there, and then a couple over the top of that so that they come down and then curls right there. Go something like that, and something like that. And then really little short ones on the other side, right there. Maybe just like 2. Doesn't even need to be that many, just a couple. Okay, there we go. Hair is good. All right, now I think she needs some lips. So what we're going to do for lips is just take one of these little red rolls, take and cut it in half and lay it side by side to itself. This toothpick's getting kind of covered in clay, that's okay. And actually, let's roll that back out and re-roll it. There we go, like there, and then cut it in half and roll each of those cut ends and then line them up side by side to each other, hopefully, sort of, and then curve it a little bit and pinch it just at the edges, and there we have a mouth that can go, hopefully, in the center of her face. Go, and then we'll just give her a little bit of a cupid's bow right there and tuck up the edges just a little bit. We have a mouth. All right, almost done, you guys. Then we just need to finish off the tail, I think. So let's take this remaining piece of green and blue mix and cut off a bit from it and roll it up into a ball and then press it flat into a sort of paddle shape. Maybe grab something that's even a little bit flatter and use that to press it. Perfect. Just lift that off and give it a couple of veins on both sides, and then decide which side we like better. I'm thinking this side is better. So we'll take and we will position that right there at the end of her tail, and take and bring it up and sort of cup it or curl the end or something, and then smooth that down. And then we'll take a couple of smaller pieces and do something very similar, because we want to embellish her. We want her to be fancy. So let's give that some veins on both sides. And do a second one off of there, just right like that, and maybe curled the opposite direction or something. Go, and then bring that up so that it smooths into the tail, and then maybe even a third one. I don't know, we'll have to see how it goes. Lift that off there. Oh, that one ended up a little bit bigger. That's okay. Put some veins on it. On both sides. Ooh, that side's kind of psychedelic. Nice. Go, and then maybe toward the back. Yeah. We'll curl that like that, and then end up curling it away from the first one so that we smooth it down. And then that gives us her tail. Her tail's kind of involved. I think she should have some extra fins too, because I'm really liking those. I'm loving how those are turning out. So take a little bit of slice of that, flatten that down, but like longwise and with a flat edge along there. And then take and give it veins, but like that, so to one side. There we go. Okay, and then just take and place that sort of right there, maybe, and smooth it down. And down underneath that edge so that it's got sort of a fin coming out to the front. And that is our mermaid. So we'll take an eye pin and stick it sort of right behind her head, maybe like in one of those curling locks of hair, and just press it down. There we go. And that is a mermaid pendant curled around a marble for a bubble. There we go. What do you think? Turn out all right? I kind of like her. I think she turned out pretty well. Not too sure about that face. Maybe I need to work on my faces some. We'll see how that goes. But if you like her, definitely let me know. If you want to see more things like this, remember to subscribe because I put up new videos every day. So there is always something new to see. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye.